Hi everyone, my name is Kayla Toure, the National American Miss Teen, and welcome to episode 4 of Nam-ish. Today I'm going to be interviewing someone that I've admired for a very long time, Lexi Delgado. Someone that, like I said before, I've admired since I was 10 years old, and I'm so honored to be going live with her. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's finally working. Okay.
Yes, it's finally working.
Okay.
Thank you. Why?
Oh, no worries. I know it happens.
Awesome. Okay.
You?
I'm I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. It's definitely getting a little chilly here in Florida.
Okay.
Surprise.
Yes. So let's start.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about yourself for those that may not know you, the title that you won with NAM, and all that amazing stuff.
Yeah. So my name is Lexi Delgado, and I actually was crowned the 2013-2014 National American Miss Preteen. So I actually used to live in Chicago, so that's where I got started with NAM. And my sister is the one who actually inspired me to compete. So I used to be extremely shy, and then I actually saw her competing, and I was like, I actually kind of want to try that. So at the time, the Maples, it was Brianne Maples at the time, but now she's Brianne Ewing. She used to be part of that group. But I just remember her hugging me backstage before I went on talent for the first time, and I was extremely terrified. But she's like, no, like, don't worry. Like, when you get on and then you come back after, you just want to go back on again. And she was right, and it just got me hooked to NAM. And I actually ended up moving to Florida a few years later, and I won my first title, which was so exciting for me because, NAM is just such a prestigious company, and it's a great platform. And then I ended up winning nationals that year. And I think the thing that helped me the most was not worrying about what anybody else is doing. I was just focused on having fun and being myself, because I think that's a huge hindrance in pageantry, is like when you're just worried about what everyone else is doing. Just stay present and focus on only what you can do, because that's the only thing that you can control. But yeah, I've been obsessed with NAM and loving NAM ever since I was little, and I was actually super honored to hear that I was one of the people that inspired you to keep competing. So I was super happy to hear that.
I love that. And I actually talked about this with Celinda Ortega because I interviewed her in the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
Yes, we were both actually talking about making sure that you have fun, because I feel like so many times when you're competing, of course you want to win, of course you want to get that crown and banner, but it's so important that you have fun, because I feel like honestly making sure that you're just living in the moment, having as much as fun as you can, I feel like that honestly lessens the stress of
Oh,
competing
yeah.
a little.
No,
So
yeah.
I
Sure. I think a lot of people get nervous during pageant week, which is completely normal. But it's important. I think making the friendships and making those connections, because I have friends from 13 to 14 years ago that I'm still super close with, even though we may not talk every day. They're still it's like you reconnect with them, and it's like as if you were talking every day. They have become family, and like I said, NAMLY is a huge thing. That's a huge motto, National American Miss. But yeah, it's just a it's just a wonderful feeling to be around those people all the time.
yes, and you talked a little bit about how Brienne was one of your inspirations because she was so kind to you during.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that and how she inspired you, just a little bit more.
Yeah. Back then, she was Brianne Maples. And I was a princess when I first started competing. So, you're super young and you're kind of just stepping your foot into the world. So for sure, I was in the unknown. I didn't know what to expect, even though my sister had been competing before. And like I said, I was super, super shy. And her, she's very outgoing. I just love her so much. Every time I see her, she's like, oh my gosh, you got so big. Um, but yeah, I just remember her holding my hand. That's just a core memory for me. When you're stepping into a place that you've never been before, you just want to feel that comfort. And for her to, let me know that everything is going to be okay, um, definitely inspired me to want to speak that into other women who are definitely scared, because not everyone is going to be super outgoing, and people are still going to be shy, and that's okay. But she told me that it's okay to be myself and just to go out there and have fun. And every time I would step onto the pageant stage, I would remember it's about having fun. Obviously, you want to win, that's completely normal. but it's okay not to win. And Brienne just instilled that in me and instilled that in my brain, and that's something that will always carry with me, no matter if it's in pageantry or in the real world. It's okay for things not to go your way.
I love that.
Just remaining positive is something that's super important, super influential in my life.
Mm-hmm. I love that, and I love Miss Brienne. I think that all the NAM staff are amazing with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, she's amazing.
Most definitely. And I honestly love that's something that has stuck with you because, like you said, even outside of pageantry, just keeping that positivity. Is there something that, other than just remembering what Brienne said on like your daily basis, but is there something that you do to kind of stay positive, or maybe like something that you did specifically before you got on stage? Because I know a lot of girls get really nervous.
Okay. I know this is super weird, but like for me, when I get like super nervous, I get super, super stiff. So I would probably like my little Zumba dance before I went on stage, and I would just like shake my shoulders. And I just remember like getting like kind of like these weird looks from like like the pageant dads, like what is she doing, backstage. But my dad would always tell me, do the Zumba dance before you go on stage, especially during evening wear. It's a phase like where you're not speaking, and you're just walking on stage, in your evening gown, and just I would always be superstitious personally. So doing the Zumba dance was something that would just let me shake it out and be more comfortable because like you want to like feel your best no matter what. So doing the Zumba dance was something super like small that I would do. And I would always pray before going on stage. That's just a huge God has such a huge like impact in my life. And I would always, thank him for allowing me to be there because as a type 1 diabetic, there were a few times where I wasn't able to make it to a pageant. Actually, the week I won nationals, I was in the ICU and I almost lost my life that week to type 1 diabetes. And, my mom called the NAM staff saying like, hey, maybe like, Lexi might not be able to make it to nationals this year. And, I just persevered and powered through. And actually ended up obviously making it and winning that year, which is a huge gift from God. But I just, he's a big impact in my life for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just want to say that, first off, you are so strong. And you are so inspirational. So I just want to tell you that I have family members who also have diabetes, so I definitely know like how difficult it is. But the fact that you persevered to that's all that matters. And the fact that you're here speaking with me and you're able to talk about that and how you overcame it, you just amaze me. Like,
thank you so much. Yeah, diabetes has always been my platform.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with NAM, I just want to be able to help, not only just women, but, anyone that has gone through like what I've been through, and just, be able to speak out about that. Because, a lot of people, they might feel like they're like an outcast just because of the disability that they may have. But yeah, I think it's super important to notice that, no matter what you're going through, like, as long as you try to remain positive and always think about the best outcome for yourself. I think that's super important. And it's easy to get in your head, no matter what no matter what the outcome is, or no matter what the situation is. But yeah, diabetes has always been my platform. I've been lucky enough to be the juvenile diabetes research spokesperson, and I actually got to speak on Capitol Hill the year I won National American Miss Preteen, which was an amazing experience for me to be able to be in Washington, D.C. I was actually chosen out of the entire state of Florida to do that, to fund for type 1 diabetes research. So that's something that I'm super proud of. And, I still talk about it to this day because it was such a great experience. But being able to talk about that at NAM, it was just like something I could speak endless about. And it was a great experience and something that I'm super proud of.
Mm-hmm. Are you comfortable talking more about that?
Yeah. So my sister and I actually are both type 1 diabetic. It runs in my family. So we actually, signed up to be chosen out of the entire state of Florida, which is crazy to me because out of the, millions of people that might have applied to have this experience, being like the two sisters, which is kind of rare, having type 1 diabetes, both of us. So we actually flew to Washington, D.C., and we were able to speak on Capitol Hill and spoke to a bunch of congressmen to fund for type 1 diabetes research, and they actually were able to sign a bill, and we were successful, which is something that like I love. Like it's near and dear to my heart to speak about. Yeah, being able to actually sit on Capitol Hill with people from all over the world. Actually, I got to speak to many people. It was just super super humbling being able to sit there and seeing like, hey, like they're actually able like to fund for type 1 diabetes research, which is something that I feel like is super important, especially to me. Because obviously we want to find a cure for type 1 diabetes, but it was such a great experience. I actually met our president currently, President Biden, so I was able to speak with him. I have a few pictures with him, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I wish I could do it again.
That is, oh my goodness, that is so amazing. I mean, wow.
I sometimes I think about it, I'm like, did that actually happen? It's super humbling.
I mean, that is so great. And my next question for you, I feel like since I also have family members that have diabetes, I feel like there's this stigma about having diabetes that like you have to be overweight to have it, or you like have to eat like so much sugar and that's why you get it. So can you kind of break that stigma for us? Because I feel like a lot of people are not educated on what diabetes is.
Yeah, so there's actually two different types of diabetes. There's type 1 and type 2, and type 1 is actually genetic. And I love talking about this because I'm actually planning on being a future nurse. I'm in nursing school. So, I'm still learning about all this stuff still. But yeah, I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 4, and type 1 is typically genetic. And a huge misconception is like, a lot of people ask me, like, did your mom feed you too much sugar? Which is, a lot of people think that you have to have too much sugar to have type 1 diabetes, but it's actually genetic. There's only so much that you can do to avoid it. And type 2, you can be actually any size to have type 2 diabetes. It is typically seen in, overweight patients, but you can be of normal weight to have type 2 diabetes. And that one you can actually control with diet, which is not always the case, but, it's reversible, but type 1 is not reversible, unfortunately, which is why it's so important to find a cure for type 1 diabetes. But yeah, a lot of people think, a lot of people ask me, like, did your mom feed you too much sugar? Did you not have enough sugar? But that's typically the huge misconception, is a lot of people think that, I had too much sugar when I was younger. But yeah, for low blood sugar, you would treat it, like, obviously with, like 15 grams of carbs, basically, or if you have a high blood sugar, you treat it with insulin. But yeah, that's just basically like the basics of it. But at least, I'm grateful that it's something that I can control, so yeah, that's pretty much just the gist of the two different types of diabetes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just want to say thank you once again for talking to me, and it's just so brave of you to speak to us about it and talk about that you have diabetes, because I know that sometimes some people are not very comfortable talking that they have, but I just want to thank you for speaking.
I definitely, when I was younger, I was ashamed of it, and I was embarrassed to, admit the fact that I was different from somebody else. But it's really just inspired me to be able to help someone else, especially being a nurse in the future. I want to be an advocate for other people. I think it's important, to spread awareness.
Yes, most definitely. Let's talk a little bit about nursing. You are the second NAM alumni that I've spoken to that is becoming a nurse, so maybe it's like a little NAM bug.
Yeah. So I'm actually planning on getting my bachelor's in nursing, but it's definitely not easy. I'm learning that for sure. It's definitely a lot of hard work and dedication. But something that inspired me to become a nurse was actually, the type 1 diabetes. I used to struggle with taking care of myself when I was younger, just being in the unknown again. And I want to be able to help not only other children, but just anyone that has type 1 diabetes. That's what I want to special in. Just paying it forward. All those times that I ended up in the hospital or in the ICU, like seeing the nurses take care of me, it would lead me to tears, because I was like, wow, these people really do care about me. And wanting just to pay that forward and take care of somebody else. But yeah, definitely nursing school, it's a lot of work for sure, a lot of studying, a lot of reading, but it's something that I love to do. When I say I'm not working, I'm definitely reading, or vice versa. I'm a Starbucks barista right now, so you know, definitely the caffeine helps. But yeah, for sure. I'm just super blessed to be able to be accepted into nursing school here in Florida because it's super competitive. But yeah, I'm so excited to be a future nurse.
Well, I can't wait to see you as a nurse because I know you're going to do such a great job. Honestly, just shout out to all the nurses and doctors. I feel like, honestly, although you hear a lot of people say, thank you, nurse, thank you, doctor, I feel like they're still so unappreciated
Mm-hmm.
during COVID because that was so difficult.
For sure.
I just want to shout out to the nurses, especially because they do so much, and it wouldn't be a hospital without them. So,
Oh yeah, we definitely appreciate the appreciation by, you know, someone that's going to be future nurse. I appreciate them so much.
most definitely. And you said you're a Starbucks barista, so of course, guys, we have to ask, what are like your top 4 favorite drinks at Starbucks, and do you have any secret like menu items that no one knows?
Okay, I love talking about this because Starbucks, it's such a vast menu. I think it depends on the season. If I'm going for something for fall, the iced pumpkin spice chai. So it's like a chai tea latte, and it's got like this pumpkin foam on it, and it's super good. So if you like something that's super sweet, I definitely would recommend that. For hot, I eat a classic pumpkin spice latte. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm a pumpkin spice girl. It's so good. But I'm an oat milk girly, so I recommend anything with oat milk. It just like gives it like a kind of like a sweeter flavor. For an iced like refreshing drink, a classic strawberry acai. I would say with water though. I think it's really really good. That one's one of my favorites. It's a classic. Like if I'm looking for something that has a little bit of caffeine but not coffee.
Yes.
But yeah, those are probably my top favorite. But a secret menu hack. A lot of people, I don't know if you like frappuccinos, but a lot of people do like the mocha cookie crumble but with white mocha, and it tastes like an Oreo or a matcha latte, an iced matcha latte with strawberry foam on top. Super good.
Okay.
I know it's probably a lot. You probably won't remember it, but I definitely will write it down and I'll get it to you and
Yes.
you can share it with people.
Yeah, me. I got that's what I'll be getting on Monday when I have school.
Oh yeah, for sure. It definitely is a good
Yeah.
pick me up.
Have you heard of do you know what ice spice is? You know ice spice.
I do. Are you talking about like the Dunkin' drink? Okay, I heard about that and I'm a little bit scared to try it. I heard a lot of mixed reviews. You know, as a Starbucks girlie, I still do go to Dunkin' Donuts. So I'm not ashamed to admit that, you know. But I think their iced coffee is better at Dunkin', if I'm being honest.
She said I got it, so she
Yeah. Although I will say Dunkin' Donuts, I feel like it tastes different every time, but that's okay. It's still better than Starbucks iced coffee. I will not be ashamed to admit it. Have you tried the ice spice?
I haven't, but it's interesting because like I've also saw like the reviews on TikTok, and everyone makes it different at Dunkin'.
Yeah, it's like never consistent. So I'm scared to go to my local Dunkin' and it like tastes amazing, and then I go somewhere else and it tastes different because it has like donuts blended into it, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, but it's I don't know, it's interesting. I don't know, maybe I'll get it.
Maybe get a small size and try it.
We'll see.
Try.
Since you work at Starbucks, do you remember when the unicorn drink was like really popular?
I do remember that, and honestly, I couldn't even explain the flavor profile because the syrup. I don't even remember like what the specific syrup was, but I do remember it. It was like a zombie frappuccino. It's like one of those like weird ones where the flavor profile was so different. Mm-hmm. I never tried it personally because I'm not a frappuccino girl. Mm-hmm. I like my actual coffee, like the brown sugar, like shaken espresso. That's also a good recommendation. Brown sugar shaken espresso with pumpkin foam. This is another good. And blonde shots. I always do blonde shots.
We heard it from the Starbucks.
Yes.
And DM her if you want any like hacks. Love that. Okay. Yeah. Okay, if you guys have any like advice, comment down below. We're gonna start talking more about NAM nationals. So I know there's so many people that are watching that want prep from a national title holder. To be honest, guys, I haven't said this before, but I wanted that preteen national title. Like that was
yeah. I honestly, that year that I went into nationals, that's the year where I stopped worrying. Like I said earlier, I stopped worrying about like what everyone else was doing, and I think that's what made me succeed the most. Is you know I just focused only on what I could do, and even if I messed up, I was like, you know what, I can't change it now, so there's no stress in worrying about it right now. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you can only control like what you can do and how you feel. But yeah, nationals. I still think about like my chest heaving like up and down. Like when I was like, because I was never expecting to win at all, especially with being in the ICU the week before. I was like, it was a true shock.
I love that. And so since we're talking about nationals, I feel like since when I remember when I was a preteen, I felt that it was very hard to differentiate being a preteen and a junior teen, especially if you were like the oldest. And so can you talk to us a little bit about how to make sure that you're looking like a preteen, even if you're like the age of a junior teen?
Oh, for sure. At the time, I believe I was 12 when I went, so I was like right at the cutoff of being a junior teen. But I think especially making sure you have age appropriate heels, age appropriate clothing, and obviously I believe for preteen and younger, no makeup. So making sure that there's no makeup, and I think it's important that NAM does that, as a preteen, you're just growing into a new stage of life, and you I don't think that makeup would necessarily be needed, especially at that age, because you're still growing up. You want to look your age for sure, and I think that's something that's super important. And I love that NAM does that. That was one of the things that my family loved about NAM, is that it's about the community service, not about what you look like. So it's always important to remember, as long as like you're maintaining like an age appropriate hair and wardrobe, that's something that I highly recommend.
Yes, I also love that, especially since the girls at National Christmas Day, the little girls look like little girls.
Yes,
so
sure.
I think that's honestly so important, because I feel like with Talas and Tiara, so many people have this stigma that that are 5 look like they're like 15.
Yeah. When I would come back from school and I would tell friends like where I was at, they're like, oh, so like Tyler's and Dios. And I was like, no, it's completely different. No crazy hair, no crazy makeup, especially for younger girls, because we want to focus on, obviously, but for any age division, but you really want to focus on who you are. I would say that for sure. But yeah, I love that NAM maintains like making sure that everything is age appropriate for sure, especially for each phase of competition. But yeah, toddlers and tiaras is definitely a huge pageant misconception, that a lot of people think that that's what all pageants are.
It's definitely, and I remember being a preteen and also being so much in my head during the interview. So us about the interview portion, because like I said before, I feel like as a preteen, you're in a very weird point of your life. You don't know if you should be super mature or if you should be like bubbly as little girls. So talk to us about interview.
Interview has always been my favorite part of the competition. It's something I love to talk. But I feel like a lot of people focus on having that perfect answer. And as someone that has been a judge for different pageant systems before, I always look for people that are always authentically themselves. You don't want to sound too rehearsed. You want to answer from your heart for sure, and that's something that I always look for. Especially you're talking about yourself, so you want to make sure that you're answering as honestly as possible, and making sure that you're not having that that cookie cutter answer, because you want to stand out from other people. Obviously, making sure that you're outgoing, because that's what we want in a title holder, someone that's not afraid to speak to other people and afraid to be an advocate for someone else, and someone that's just not afraid to speak out for sure. So I think as someone that has been through both sides, like been a judge and as a contestant, it's important to be yourself and answer how you truly would answer from the heart. I think that's something that's super important.
I definitely agree. And since we're talking about interview, automatically what popped into my head was on-stage question. You guys did not have on-stage question, correct?
I did not have the on-stage question, and I honestly respect all of the women that have done an on-stage question before, because you're not only speaking in front of one judge, you're speaking in front of hundreds or thousands of people. Yeah, right. I definitely I've done onstage question before, but never through NAM. So, it's definitely nerve-wracking.
Yes, most definitely. And
as well, I know you've been through. So how was that for you?
it was interesting. I mean, for me, what helped me a lot was just breathing and just taking it as if it was like a regular conversation, because I feel like on stage question, a lot of people get in their head because they're like, oh my goodness, not only is this an interview, but this is an interview with like 100
Yeah.
to see who's gonna win. So I just took a deep breath. That was my first ever time doing on stage question.
Yeah.
So I was like,
yeah, for sure, because I know it's not easy, for sure. Nerve-wracking, but you aced it.
Okay, guys, comment down below some questions that you have for Lexi. It could honestly be anything. Like she said, she was a judge before. She's been a judge many times. So she has that perspective, not only being a queen, but also being a judge. So comment down below anything. Also, did you guys have like social media, like accounts when you were a title holder?
I did have social media account. It was actually my main account now, but I like changed my like profile. But it was never like how it is now, how you have like two different accounts, like a personal one. But yeah, I would post everything, like literally everything that I was doing 24/7 with NAM. Especially all the volunteer hours. You're always doing something.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, still Sophia Tackler, she was the All-American preteen. I still remain in contact with her every single day. She's such a sweetheart, and she's amazing. She actually won Miss Oregon for the Miss America system. Yeah, so I was so excited for her, because that's definitely like her route, her style. Because she's so talented, and she's a great speaker, and she has a great heart. But yeah, the social media thing, it wasn't as big before, but honestly, the thing is, like, it could definitely be used to your advantage now, like with like platforms that are growing.
Yes.
To reach people, because I feel like the internet is such a big thing right now.
I agree. You said that you posted like 24/7. So technically you were like the first NAM social media and where like you were the role model for all of us. So
I think speaking of social media, I think it's important still. I'm always conscious of what I post. So I think that's something that's super important, not only just with pageantry, just always be conscious of what you're posting, making sure that everything's appropriate, even though I haven't done a pageant in a while, like every time I post, I always make sure that, that everything I'm doing is appropriate. So, you're always in the eyes of an audience. So I think that's something that's super important, whether you win or not with your title, make sure that you're always supporting other women and congratulating yourself no matter what the outcome is. It's okay to be disappointed in the moment, but just take a breather, be present, and recognize what you did great, instead of focusing on always what you could do better.
Definitely, I agree, and I want to thank you for talking about that, because I feel like that's something that a lot of us don't remember, or that we don't really talk to other girls about. So that's very important. My second, I forgot my second question.
It's okay, girl.
Someone has a question for you. Do you want to read the question?
Yeah. Also, what are the judges looking for in a NAM national title holder? As just anyone that is a judge, just in general, you're always looking for someone that is not afraid, to be themselves, and someone that is genuine and natural. I feel like a lot of the time, women focus on what the perfect mold is, and I don't think that there is a perfect mold, to be honest with you. I think it's super important to be yourself, and genuinely, as someone that's been on both sides of the spectrum of being a judge and a national title holder, it's you get stuck in wanting to be, I guess, what you would call like a pageant patty. Does that make sense? You just want to make sure that you're natural. I think that's something that is genuinely so amazing to witness, is someone who's not afraid to be themselves, who's not afraid to speak, someone that's outgoing, who not only wants the crown, but to use as a benefit for their platform, if that makes sense, to enhance their platform. That's a better word. A lot of people would want the crown just to have the crown, but I think it's important why you want it. That's something I always look for in a contestant. why you want the crown, and make sure it's for a positive reason, to better your community.
Definitely. I agree with everything.
What is the difference between National American Miss and National All-American Miss? I don't know if you want to answer that, if you want me to answer that.
Listen, this is your live answer.
Okay, so National All-American Miss, I believe isn't it anyone that makes top 5 in any of their optionals at state, and people that make top 5 in overall?
Yep.
So they're eligible to compete at the All-American Miss at nationals. And then the red banner, which is the National American Miss, which is what lovely Kayla has. It's for anyone that has won their state title. So for example, I won Miss Florida, so I competed in a red banner. So city titles are for National All-American Miss, or anyone that has done, I believe, top 5 in their overall competition, in the optional competition as well at their state pageant.
Yep. She said it perfectly. I told
Yeah, some things like have changed here and there, but I just want to make sure I got everything right.
I mean, stuff has changed, but I feel like a lot of
the base is the same. Yeah, that makes sense.
And also, you went to name nationals in 2020, and I was literally looking at one of your posts, and when I was in New York junior team, I literally commented under your picture, and I was like, beautiful. I was like, oh my gosh, Kayla.
But no, girl, honestly, like, I never think anything like that is weird. Like, for me, like, if anything, I should be fangirling over you. You know what I mean? Like, anytime I see, like, any, like, the recent, like, or, like, the current queens, I'm like, oh my God, they're there in real life. Like, especially just going to visit, I'm like, wow, like, even more beautiful in person. Like, it's, I don't know, it's nostalgic for me. Does that make sense?
And you literally live in Florida, so you can come to nationals every single year.
The past 3 years, I've been doing that. I make sure that I see my family, because that's something that's super important to me. You know, and it's crazy because people that I've grown up with, like as a princess, like seeing what, like how grown up they look, it's a little weird for me. But at the same time, it's like they probably also think it's weird that I'm grown up. You know, I might not have gotten like that much taller, but definitely I know my face has grown up. I'm sorry, love, your sound went out.
Okay. Hi, Caroline. Love you for the questions. Love the questions. Awesome. Let me know if you guys have any more questions. Lexi, is there anything that you possibly want to tell the possible contestants that are competing in less than 30 days? Any words of wisdom, advice, anything?
For sure. I definitely think, you know what, I feel like I know it's super cliche to say this, but I've been stressing it this whole time, you know, just worry about you, you know, worry about only what you can do, because you can't control anybody else. And I think that's something that could, you know, getting in your head is something that is very common in a lot of pageant girls, and just in anyone in general, and it could possibly, you know, affect like, you know, your future for sure. And I think it's super important, you know, no matter if you mess up, keep going. No matter if you pause, keep going. You know, as a judge, you know, I've never, you know, looked at someone different for messing up, for sure. And I know as a contestant, as someone like who competed in the past, I was always worried about like, what are the judges gonna think if I mess up? You know, it's all important. It's all about the importance of just keep going and being resilient. For sure, resilience is a huge, huge thing, and confidence as well. You know, sometimes you may mess up, but the judge may not know that you messed up, and that's completely okay, you know. But for sure, being confident and resilient, and making sure that you're being yourself and your most natural self, you know.
I love that. Oh my goodness, Lexi, you're so amazing, and you're so authentic, and that's something that honestly I have still loved about you to this day, and even when you were the national title holder. And I mean, you are doing so many amazing things. I cannot wait to see all the hearts that you touch when you're a nurse. You are going to be one of the greatest nurses.
Thank you so much. That literally means the world. And like I said, you've been amazing. I've been following you all year long, and seeing all your pictures. I love all your pictures for sure. So definitely, I'm paying all those likes back. But yeah, you've been amazing. Watching you last year, like I personally like didn't know you, but you really captured my heart. Like seeing you on stage, your on stage question. It's one of those things where it's like she's got it. That's amazing, to me, because I've seen thousands of girls, and you definitely have a heart of gold for sure. So definitely keep that up, and you're amazing as well.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to see you at
Yes,
nationals.
for sure. Take lots of pictures together.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your super busy nurse life and
Oh, for sure. I'll do anything. Early hours of the day, late hours of the night.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Keep up the amazing work. And I can't wait to see you at NAM Nationals.
Yes, for sure. A few weeks away. We're almost there. Almost there. I know, girl. I know. I hate saying that, but I know you're probably also so excited to meet everyone too.
I know I am. And doing these lives, honestly, like I know so many girls are so thankful speaking with these. I don't even like saying former national title holders because you guys are national. Like,
What do they always say? You never has been, like you always become staff.
yep.
I always think about that. I'm like, what if I become staff one day? That would be so fun.
I know it's honestly so amazing seeing like you said, you literally like Brienne watched you grow up. That is crazy.
Yeah, I know, because like especially like growing up, like moving to a different state too. She hadn't like seen me for years and years and years. So when I called her at nationals, I was like, Miss Brienne, and she had to do like a double take. And she was like, oh my gosh. And she asked about my family. She still remembers my dad. Like it's my mom as well. Like it's just crazy to me, out of like thousands of people that she meets, that she still remembers me.
It's oh my goodness. It's amazing. Yeah. I love it. This is NAM. This is National American.
Yeah, for sure. And like, it's like talking to you like just seems so natural. I sometimes I used to get like so nervous to like doing an interview, but I'm like, it's Namely. Just answer as honestly as possible. That's what I've always tried to do.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. Thank you everyone who watched and supported. Follow Lexi, guys. And I'll see you soon. Bye. Thank you.
You love. Thank you, guys.